Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nobody, and we are back in the Untrained Unprofessional Garage for episode 1 of the long range series. Me trying to grasp the concepts and performance of shooting long range, because it's not something that I do, but I want to try. I want to learn. And in this very first episode, I'm going to be going over things like what caliber did I choose? Did I build or did I buy? Did I do a gas gun or a bolt gun? And performance of whatever I did. Should be fun. Now let's talk about caliber. I chose the Humble 223. This one in particular is an IMI 77 grain razor core, and I happen to have a lot of it all from one lot. Now I could have chosen some type of super cartridge like a 6 arc or something even bigger, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6 PRC, whatever. But I kind of like the idea of taking America's cartridge and trying to see how far I could actually push it. After all, it doesn't have the best ballistic coefficient in the world, and I think I could possibly learn the most from it. Well, as you can see, this is not a bolt gun. This is a gas gun. Matter of fact, it's an AR-15. Now, it's not even one that I went out and purchased brand new anywhere. This is one that I specifically put together just for this challenge. And I wanted to do it because, hey, just building the gun is a challenge in and of itself. And I wanted to see how well I could do that. Now, when I initially put it together, there were some things that I really didn't like about the build initially. And, well, actually there was one. And what it was the fit between the upper and lower receiver. Initially when I built this, I was using this Palmetto State lower, and I kind of like the idea of the little Patriot on there. I'm kind of silly that way. But it had the problem of a loose fit between the lower and the upper receiver. The upper receiver that I'm using is a Bravo company, and it had just a little bit of side-to-side wobble that I didn't care for. I did find that it fits my JP upper receiver very, very well, so I'm leaving these kind of matched together. Now let's talk about the build components that I used on making my precision long-range rifle. We have a burn-proof gear suppressor cover that I ended up getting after the fact because as I was playing with this, I've had this for about a month and I've been shooting it and trying to get used to the precision game, which I'm not a precision shooter. But one of the things that I quickly discovered was mirage off of suppressors is terrible, especially when you're trying to zoom in on things. So I got a burn-proof gear suppressor cover, and so far it's been awesome. I like it. Now the suppressor underneath is a Thunder Beast Arms 223 suppressor, and it actually has a muzzle device that stays permanently attached, and I can thread it onto the muzzle device. And it kind of fits together almost like on a mill, you know, like a collet, you know, where it kind of like sucks it up and it has a nice mating surface. So I've really liked that. The barrel. This is a Criterion, not a core series. I almost said a core series. This is a good barrel too. Criterion H-bar, 1-in-8 twist, 223 wild chamber. It's a 20-inch barrel, and I got the option for the matched or head-spaced bolt. And I figured, hey, why not? I'm making a precision rifle, or hopefully a precision rifle. Now this isn't the one that I initially wanted to get. I still wanted to get the 20-inch H-bar, you know, with the twist and all that kind of stuff. But initially I was looking at the phosphated and chrome lined version of this. And the other option was, I think, did they have a stainless steel? I think so. I was looking at so many at the time. So I was disappointed that it wasn't in stock, but I had noticed that they started having this barrel along with, I think there was one other one when I ordered this. this is a nitrided barrel, and I kind of like the idea of a nitride, just because it's not changing any internal dimensions of anything, and it's a really nice hard surface treatment. So I figured, hey, it's like that might help with the longevity of the barrel. Before I mounted this, I did send it out to be cryogenically processed, and it was the first time ever doing that. And I chose a company based off a recommendation from a friend of mine, and the place is called Diversified Cryogenics. Now, I will tell you that if you go to their website, it looks like it was made in 1999 by a fifth grader. However, they do an excellent job, and it was only like, it was shipping like 120 bucks, 140 bucks, something like that. Not bad at all, and they turned it around really, really fast. So I would recommend, giving it a try. Now, one thing that I think I will do next time is kind of do like before accuracy and velocity numbers and after accuracy and velocity numbers, just to see. But right now I can tell you that it hasn't hurt anything. Supporting the rifle on the front end here is an Atlas bipod. The free float is a Midwest Industries, and this is actually one that I already had that was part of a build that I just wasn't shooting, but I liked the width of the handguard. It was actually wider than the slimline, and I liked that because it gave plenty of room around the barrel and the gas block, and that way it eliminated or hopefully reduced the option or the potential of me inputting anything into the handguard that might potentially touch the barrel. Underneath the handguard is a superlative arms direct impingement adjustable gas block, and I kind of like that, just because I'm running suppressed. I didn't want to over gas the system. I kind of wanted to lighten the recoil, even though there's not a whole lot of recoil with 223, but I wanted to soften the ejection, and it's like the adjustable gas block, especially with a suppressor, works really, really well. And I use that in combination with something else that we'll get to in just a minute. Now we're getting kind of into the heart of the system. The scope is a D&T, the 1, and I chose this. I mean, this is a 7 to 35 mil dot scope. I chose this because, one, it was a recommendation, and two, the reviews on it seemed pretty decent for the price point. So I thought, hey, it's like, I'll give it a shot. And since I'm trying to do long range, the 35 option, which I don't know how much of that I'm going to use or be able to use, we'll see, seemed like a good thing to have. Supporting it is an Area 419 34 millimeter cantilevered scope mount, and I went with Area 419, one, because I've never used them before, and two, it seemed like their stuff is really, really good, and so I thought I would give it a shot. Initially, I ordered the one that was not cantilevered, and this was kind of set back, and I really didn't like how it was feeling and whatnot, and I wanted to be able to push the scope a little bit farther forward, so I got the cantilevered. Trigger cam, this is my first time using the trigger cam itself, and I did get some video of it earlier today, me shooting, and one thing that I didn't do was remember that, hey, there's a little adjustment for the focus, so I'm sorry about that. I apologize right now. Attached to the 419 scope mount is an MDT send it level, and it's the 3 dot, so it's the Gen 2, and I have it mounted vertically, so that way it's not sticking out really far off to the side. Plus, mounting it here on the 419 allowed me to put a little rail on it so I could mount it vertically and just kind of keep everything as compact as possible. At least that was my thought. The charging handle is an ambidextrous one that I had around, I want to say it was like a Radiant or Raptor, no. It's something, I don't recall what it is. The upper receiver is a BCM. It's actually one of the blems that I got quite a while ago. It's like I had bought 3 at the time, and so this is my last one. So it's a thermal fit to the Criterion barrel. And the bolt carrier group is BCM as well. Again, the bolt is a head-spaced and matched to the barrel itself. I threw on a Magpul BAD lever because I had an extra one lying around. It does make it kind of easy to just drop the bolt whenever. The trigger itself is a Hyperfire. It's a 3.5 pound trigger. At least I put the springs in for the 3.5 pound. I'm kind of on the fence if I'm happy with it or if I want to go a little bit lighter for a precision build. Now, the lower receiver that did fit onto the BCM really well was a Spikes Tactical that I had lying around. I actually had it for years, just kind of saving it. And it's one of the Punisher ones. It doesn't make me as happy as the Patriot, but that's okay. Magpul Mo Plus grip. I kind of like the texture. I almost went with the K, the little steeper one, but hey, it's all right. Buffer system in stock. Now, I went with the XLR stock because I wanted the adjustment, for length of pull and also on the cheek riser, because I'm going to be reaching out. And ultimately, if I can, I want to get out to a mile. And I know there are a lot of things that have to happen for me to be able to get to that, including dealing with the scope, because I don't have enough mils to be able to do that. But I'm trying to future-proof a little bit. Now, it is sitting on a Sons of Liberty Gunworks buffer tube, and that's not the tube that this stock actually came with. Initially, it was a round tube, almost like you would see on a pistol brace, so that way you can cant this and whatnot. I went with the Sons of Liberty Gunworks because I wanted to run the A5 system, so the longer recoil spring and buffer. So I had to go to this, which it works just fine on it. That's the rifle build itself. Now you may be asking, it's like, well, what did you do to anything? It's like, did you work on anything and whatnot? Well, the only thing that I actually kind of monkeyed with, other than the slot between the upper and lower receiver, was the feed ramps on the barrel itself. And I kind of have I have a firm belief that when a round is feeding up through those M4 feed ramp cuts, it normally gets gouged and all kinds of nastiness happens to the copper. And since I'm trying to make this as precise as possible, I wanted to eliminate that. So what I did was I dehorned, I took off those sharp edges, and then I polished everything so that way the round will just go up really nice and smoothly and hopefully keep the surface of the projectile as pristine as possible. All right, so let's talk about another reason why I chose this IMI 77 grain razor core. And the temptation initially was for me to go out and do something, like one of the super cartridges like the 6 Arc. I mean, I would really like one. But I also wanted to do this video series in a way to where someone has a precision rifle or a long-range rifle and they could get something that's mass-produced that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And if it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, they are more likely to go out and shoot and practice and get better at shooting, which is something that I need to do. I really struggle with precision. So this is a great excuse for me to practice precision without my wife yelling at me about how much I'm spending. She doesn't know how much I spent on the rifle. Now let's talk about some of the groups that I have been getting at 100 meters. Remember, this is a mil-dot scope, so I'm measuring everything in meters, which I've always been an MOA guy and yards. So this is a little bit different of an experience for me, but I'm learning. This whole thing is a learning experience. Now, I am not the most precise or patient shooter in the world. So what I'm about to show you is actually something that I'm relatively proud of, but I think I can get better and more consistent. So all these are 5-shot groups. This first group right here, and this isn't zeroed. This is, I got on paper and was just grouping and practicing and whatnot. This is a 5-shot group, and it was a little over a half an inch, 565 thousandths. Coming over to these two groups, this one was at the same windage and elevation that it was set on over here. And if I want to say that day I was getting like a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind going from right to left. This group, 477, which I was very happy with. This group was a 719, and I had actually adjusted right to left to shift my impact a little bit more. This group down here, winds were definitely changing. It was an 861, so I'm still sub 1 MOA. The center group right here, 5-shot group, 4 are within or under a ½ inch. It's a 419. But this shot right here, it was actually the first shot. I don't know what I did other than I'm sure I did something. It could be the ammo, I don't know. But ended up moving this group to a 1.617. All right, so this group right here, which is a 20-round group, and you know, it really started opening up after I shot out my dot, and I didn't really have a good place to hold, so I expected it to wander. It's okay. I was mostly getting chrono data. And my average velocity was 2,746. My standard deviation was 17.6 feet per second. My extreme spread was 59.4. So that's going to affect distance. But my group size is a 1.7. I'm not really worried about that. Next couple of groups is a 777 here. I got a 734 here and an 885 here. So still sub MOA. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you've been noticing that I've been having some issues with my vision, and I ended up getting some prescription glasses, and I was shooting with these the last couple of times, and I decided that I don't like shooting with them. The biggest thing I think is just that these are the transitioning, so the auto darkening and lightening and whatnot. I don't like that behind the scope. When I'm not getting a bunch of direct light, like if I try dry firing inside the house, it stays clear, but when I'm out on the range, having it darken and everything just kind of like fades to black, and then I start moving my head around, I'm fighting that transition. It's just a mess. So I've actually ended up shooting without the glasses today, or for the last part of the day. That being said, another thing that I've noticed is that I need to practice a lot more on my dry fire, because as I've been doing it inside the house and picking a point of aim across the street, I do notice that if I don't have good fundamentals, my initial trigger pull, my dot will move over quite a bit, and I'm not that consistent with that, you know, so that's telling me that I'm imparting things into the system, which is helping my groups to open up, and I need to work on being a lot more consistent with that. So after I took off the glasses, I decided to have a little bit of fun, you know, just to kind of see what I could do, you know, how the rifle is performing. And I also backed off the magnification to around 20 power. And I found some 7.62 by 39 cases, and first one I set up at 100 meters, and apparently I don't know what I did with the trigger cam. It's a new system to me, but it didn't record. It is like there's a partial of it, and then it's like it stops. So, but I did shoot it. I found the case. It has a nice hole, like dead center of it. It's pretty darn cool. Now the second and third case, I did get the trigger cam on and I did record it, and I couldn't find the cases. You know, there's a bunch of brush behind there, so I don't know where and how far they were flung. I spent a good 20 minutes trying to find one. I don't know. But you could see that it's definitely good impacts on those steel cases. How good of impact, I don't know. But it was really fun to do, kind of a nice way to end my day, and to end this video saying that this rifle really can shoot as long as I do my part. Now, next video, because I know I'm a novice at all this precision shooting, I know that I'm gonna need help. Now, I could try to do all this by myself and try to go through and learn or try to figure out what I don't know, but that doesn't seem like, that'd be a long series, let's just put it that way. If you remember a friend of mine, his name is Andrew, his his YouTube channel is Trium. He likes to shoot long range. He loves shooting a mile plus, that's his thing. So I asked him, it's like, hey, will you come out with me and help me learn this precision shooting thing? Assume that I know absolutely nothing and you tell me what to do. That's setting up the rifle, dialing, learning ballistic calculator, down to, just my general form and whatnot. And he said, yeah. So that'll be episode 2 in this series. Hopefully he yells at me. That'd be a good thing. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and are excited to see how much I suck going forward.